I'm not doing it like that. Good morning. Today we're going to be working on manufacturing plants. I will also be putting some stuff in the corner if you're excited to watch something appear very, very slowly. And if we're very lucky or unlucky, there will be an excess of Kitten, which I can hear running around and who is absolutely not going to be sitting down and sleeping nicely for the camera. So I am going to start the print off, and then we're going to look at manufacturing plants of Fortresscraft Phoenix. As ever, I'm always very curious to know if you're watching the stream back on YouTube, because I archive all of the broadcasts. If you're doing that, let me know, because I've no real idea how many people watch it live and how many people watch it afterwards. Right. Now, I do have an issue, and I'm not prepared to test it quite on stream. And if I run the game for too long, it blue screens my PC. But I'm not going to look into that now. Mostly what we'll look at is some of this dialogue here. So this is the crafting area from your new base. Things like that shrinks backwards. When it's done, it should flash. So I want to do some work on that. Now, I can give you a release date for Fortresscraft, and I will continue to give the same release date for Fortresscraft. And there is no doubt in my mind that is the point at which we will release. However, the quality of the game that I release on that date will be different. So we're releasing on April the 8th, 2021, because that is the 10th anniversary of Fortresscraft releasing. So this will be the 10-year edition, we'll call it, the game of the decade edition. I'm not sure. So that's when we're coming out. But the build might be the same as what you see here today. It might be no better whatsoever. I do like those. For those of you not seen the build process, it's not perfect. Salath, every time I talk to my publisher, I ask what's happening about it. And he's like, oh, something's happening. So yeah, I've not heard anything yet. I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what the progress bar is compared to that. And then here, progress is empty, yet that's full. And the alignment of this all sort of annoys. We'll see what we can do. There should be a console for Fortresscraft. I mean, it's been on the cards for ages. It will be outside of my control. I would be essentially an advisor on it. Not quite pestering him, but like literally every time we talk, I'm just like, what's happening? Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't need to do anything on it. I don't need to spend any money on it, and it will make at least $0. So for me, it's just a win-win situation. Oh. So yeah, I came back to this crafting dialogue for the first time in I don't know how long, and it needs some tidying up. I'd like Todd to do a bit more work to improve it. But mostly, at this point, I would like to just make it a little bit more idiot-proof. Okay, so then that should go blip. Because like, there's no, it's not in the slightest bit obvious. You click on that to retrieve it. There's no anything. But if I click, see, that's quite cool. The queue's cool. The progress thing is horrible. I don't know why we've got that. So for those of you who have been keeping up or don't ever keep up, I have been doing a bunch of work on Fortresscraft recently for the Patreons. So if you are not a patron and you would like access to the cool stuff what I is doing, then please sign up to be a patron and you will get access to, well, eventually you'll get access to everything I'm doing here. More or less, the more money I get, the more likely I am to be able to hire someone, and the more likely I am to hire someone, the better the project's like to be. So please consider becoming a patron and supporting these stupid things what I do. I am in England. Dude, where does it sound like I'm from? I am from Sweden. We'll probably need to get Todd to desaturate these a little bit as well. Me too, Salah. That would be nice. That would be nice. As I say, a port of Fortresscraft to a console is, for me, free money. I would not be doing any work on it. I might be very minimal with it, but very little. And it's just free money. So I'm totally behind it, 100%. So one of the things I have made hopefully clear to people, it doesn't work, I still get asked it. So Fortresscraft 2 is not going to be a radically different game. It's not going to ship with a completely new graphics engine, all new machines. It is an evolution on the previous game, not a revolution. The important thing to note is that it will be essentially, it would have been patch 29, essentially, or maybe patch 30. But the vast majority of Fortresscraft players never saw the game past the first patch, or the 10th patch, or wherever. Like, they only saw the early patches. So for anyone who only played Fortresscraft in the first 2 years of its release, Fortresscraft Phoenix will be an enormous and massive update. For people who basically play patch 26 to death, they might find it more of an incremental update. There'll still be some quite sweeping changes. Fortresscraft's already been through some big ones. When we added survival, that was a massive change. The patch 15, it massively updated what we considered the game to look like. That was another big patch. It'll still be like that. It'll be like one of the bigger patches, but we aren't talking about a radically different game. So I reckon almost no one, and I can check the numbers, almost no one actually completed Fortresscraft. Very few people. So I'd much rather spend my time starting at the beginning of the game and improving people's play experience from the first block to firing the railgun than just jamming more stuff in. I think we have enough stuff in the game. It just needs to be made better. It also means I can change some fundamental things, like no vertical conveyors. I might allow it in as a flag. By default, no vertical conveyors. And it's that sort of thing I could never have done without endless complaints. Minecarts will go. Minecarts just won't be in the game at all. I might get Steve to help me implement a dumb freight carts. It's a sort of idiot-proof. Today's development plan is probably a good example of what I mean. I'm not changing anything. I'm not adding anything. Sorry. I'm just simply polishing and improving what already exists. Like that, but not quite so bright. Make I said some of the more confusing bits of Fortresscraft less confusing, and to try and work out where players lost interest, you know, what it was that was boring or tedious or whatever. That's better, isn't it? So it'd be nice if, for instance, the little light showed you how many items there were or something like that, but it's probably not much point. Really? What? You haven't? There's no dodgy jokes in Fortresscraft, I hope. Man, so the mission report date, like that was new. When I put that in, that was a new. It is now old meme, and it's weird to see how much that's changed. It genuinely surprises me. Yeah, Hodor again. At the time, that was a bang up to date reference. Arthur is there's a picture pinned in the general chat about Arthur. It is indeed automated reconnaissance threat and hazard evaluation robot. As with and if you remember the Agents of Shield, and goes, what does it stand for? It's the Strategic Homeland Intervention and Logistics Department. And what does that tell you? Because someone really wanted this to say Shield. And it's pretty much that. He was called Arthur. He'd been called Arthur for ages, and we backronymed his what it meant. What's that printing? Oh yeah, so Andy has to redo the logistics office. They're not a scale hack. These ones probably one of the first machines we made. So again, we'll probably end up with new ones. Or at least new textures, because the texture is old and rubbish. It's not really very noticeable, is it? I might have to give it a better bend. So if we square it, you'll get, instead of getting a linear curve, we'll get a non-linear curve. Because there, we're about, what, 20% power, and there's not that much difference between it. It's designed so you can't just queue up loads of items that go slowly, but you can sort of burst craft 5 items. So this is the beginning of the your Fortresscraft playthrough. But probably the progress bar. This progress bar. It's just because. Oh, how can we do this better? So this one animates to show you what's currently being crafted. This one shows you what you've got pending, ready to take. And that's the power. That makes sense. And probably this one shouldn't animate. And this, maybe this one becomes bigger. But now we more progress left to right. Basically, Todd will be tasked with look at the entire game from one end to the other and see if you hate anything. Like, if you hate something, fix the thing you hate. As I was chatting with Stinkosa on the Patreon channel yesterday, the problem is you can't talk about the UI. Because I see people saying, you know, the UI is ugly, it's confusing, it's unclear. But the UI covers 10,000 elements over, I don't even know, over 1,000 pages. It's incredible how much there is. Like, maybe that should just go fill, empty, fill, just to show it's working, because we already get a progress bar here. So let me try that, because we actually do 2 sets of progression. It's not really any... I think that was there. So this will just animate pointlessly, but there's no point having 2 bars that fill up next to each other. It might be I will implement a rotator and then not animate for out of power. That just shows it's working. Any thoughts? These 2 should probably both be bigger anyway. But this is just all messy. This is horrible. Like, that's slightly out. That's just a ×4. That 1 is in the wrong place. This dialogue could do with some helps. The in-game printers do not fail, and there will be no fires. That seems alright. Unfortunately, that was the main thing I had planned for the day, so I'm going to need to find some more things to do. As you do. Where's the Trello? Yeah. I will also start to create a Todd. Do we have one? We probably do. Layout, polish, alignment, especially the automation section that pops out. Oh, Brian, you can't let Todd down. He's done all the ice levels. As far as I know, he's done all of the stuff for the ice levels. So... oh man, so much. And then I'm going to set it up so we can retrieve items out the MFPs and the hotkey, because I don't think you can, and if you can, it doesn't tell me. Austin, probably not. What I might do, I might put it in and just see how long it goes. The problem with that is, and I have explained before, is that from your point of view as a player, you think it should be dead easy. From my point of view as a programmer, I can tell you it's not. And I know it should be easy, but it's just simply not. While I'm thinking about it, MFP stick in low power until at 25%. I should just realise what I should print. I should print a little Fortresscraft act, shouldn't I? Yay! Cool, that actually worked fine. Press Q to retrieve 2 storage hoppers out of power. And when it runs out of power, oh, that's not right. Let's try dividing it by a big number, very big number, and we'll say we'll balance that a bit. It's mostly working. SCT on MFP retrieval. But the offload key works, so that's cool. This is Fortresscraft 2, yes. Technically it's Fortresscraft 4 or 5, but yeah, Fortresscraft 2. It's not going to be called Fortresscraft 2, it'll be called Fortresscraft Phoenix. It's still utterly not doing what I would expect it to do. Oh, no, wait, hold on. Yeah. No. That looks better. And then when it runs out of power, that should stop. Wait, it's out of power, so why is it continuing to... That's a bug. The fuck? It should now be in out of power mode. Blip. So that should stop animating. Correct. Out of power. But it shouldn't be crafting at this point. MFP out. Okay, so we're in hopper crafting. Hopper out of power. Okay, I'm not sure it's... Oh, it's freezing this. It's not updating this when we're in the menu. So we've never really spent any time on this panel, so I want to... I think that works. Yeah, well, Fortresscraft 2 is coming along. Mostly what at the minute I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make Fortresscraft 2 playable for people. It's not quite playable. It's nearly playable. It's not quite. That should be flashing red, black, red, black, red, black. Did I screw that up? Yeah, Fortresscraft Phoenix. Because some of the patrons have got it and they would like it to be a bit more playable than it is at the moment. That's why I'm working on it. I wonder why... Oh, wait, hold on. That doesn't seem to be updating. I press shift. I haven't put support into this, so somewhere else in the game, I'm sure of it, when you press shift to control, it tells you how many. And this one, it doesn't. Oh, actually, I don't think it does. I think it does at all. No, okay, there is no shift to control. It just tries to print 25. Okay. Spaff that out. I've also spent a lot of time adding in error checking and debugs and trying to... It'd be nice to have this more animated and bits move along and things do stuff. I suspect this progress bar should be smaller and these should be much bigger. I've always tried very hard wherever I can to avoid having any UI at all. I would much rather you can look at the machine and see it's working, or look at a machine that isn't, rather than have to pop up a dialog box and look at text. I feel it adds to the game overall. But it really does add to the game. When you can just look at the base and you can just see lights flicker as things work and stuff turn on and stuff turn off. I think that's just so awesome. Okay, so that should run at power in a second, then it should flash red. I think I might make that animate though. Yeah, that looks cool, doesn't it? That's definitely out of power. Shall I also pulse it when it's... I wonder whether it should like glow between white and green, maybe, because the glow represents how much power it's got. It flashes red to show you it's out of power. I'm just trying to work out what it should do if it's got an item ready for handoff. The point is that you should be able to look at these and quickly and easily tell what the state is. So I can tell that 3 of them are working, but they've got something to give me. I can tell that one on the left isn't doing anything because it's not animating. Now I can tell that 2 of them they're out of power. Now, out of power overwrites no handoff. So this one I can tell is finished working because it's green. The others are working because they're animating. Okay, I should update my patch notes. Patch notes. Okay. La 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 la. Okay. MFP UI now shows progression better and indicates more clearly that there is an item to collect. MFP UI now shows low power better. MFP visuals now use glows and lights to indicate working, not working, low power, and when there is an item to collect. It's the sad thing about sometimes. So I've been working about 3 hours so far, and I've achieved 3 lines of text. So, what I guess I will do is I will go back into my world, and I will warning machine. What? Okay, not right now. I'm going to start playing the game because I'd like to make sure that the game correctly allows me to progress. So part of the goal of Fortresscraft Phoenix is to not play it too deep. It's just to do the first bit over and over and over again and get the first bit just, tickety-boo. So I have cheated, but that doesn't matter. So I want some conveyor belts. I don't have the resources. Doesn't matter. Let's queue up. Let's queue up 25 conveyor belts. Although I see that's a bit. I can still click on that. It's because I'm in the editor. So that will now craft a bunch of conveyor belts. So you do get given a free smelting setup. Well, shall we start with whatever all this is then? I haven't. Well, the doors don't animate yet, so if I made it so you couldn't walk through them, you'd quite quickly realise you'd be stuck inside your base forever. So you notice we do have a new build gun, which Andy has only done one version of, and it's not been mapped yet. As I've also said to patrons, please do not use wall torches because I've done a hack. So ceiling fine, floor fine. Is it actually possible there are just... Let's carry on this way, see what we get. What a terrible seed. Because they look cool? These are 2 reasons. 1, it looks cool. 2, to stop you doing that and going, and then be like, why can't I see? It's like, because you've just spaffed glow sticks, chuck 1. It also lets you see where a glow stick is a long way away. Because they are chemical glow sticks. But mostly, as with so many things in so many games, because it looks cool. Which, in my opinion, is a good enough reason to do almost anything in life. I have yet to forbid all the things that will become naughty, such as vertical conveyors. That's a further away task. Don't know what that's about. Currently, the base building code is incredibly aggressive in order so you don't ever end up waiting. I might need to dial it back a bit. It's probably too aggressive. Wow, there's a very big mountain causing a lot of... what the hell's that? Oh, is that the underside of it? Yeah. I know. The other thing, again, I suspect a lot of people don't realise is knowing about a bug isn't usually the limiting factor on doing something about it. Like, I know for a fact, for instance, the underside of snow is broken. Partly, I don't care. It doesn't hurt you. People keep telling me. But I've just got so much else to do. I mean, right now, I need to verify that the first stage of the game actually works. Because, I'll be making another build for patrons today. I need to make sure it actually, works. What are the major differences? Would you like to know the major guaranteed differences or the major hopeful differences? Because I can tell you what I hope to have in, but that is not necessarily the same as what I will have in. but I'm happy to tell you whatever you want to know, as long as you don't ever go, oh, but you said that thing. Sometimes things I plan are, I think they're going to work, and they just don't. And that happens more than you would realise in things. My plans are to optimise the current gaming experience, to make the current playthrough of Fortresscraft more polished, to remove the Frozen Factory and Adventures Pack DLC, to change the concept of the game so it will no longer be about crashing on a planet. You are sent there by a corporation and it all goes wrong. Don't think it won't, but it will, I suspect, be different. So yeah, completely revamp progression. The same basic concept. You spend resources and you get research, but it won't be via research pods. One of the other things that will not be popular is I'll be removing most combinations of conveyors because they are too confusing for new players. So many players utterly get confused by how conveyors work. And I would like to avoid doing that as much as possible. So, for instance, you won't be able to do that. That won't be valid anymore in Fortresscraft Phoenix. No. You'll have to use corners. Might try and automate corners. We'll see. No, it's not intuitive at all. It's absolutely not intuitive. I'll show you. I will show you. Ooh. Ah, is that one of the bits where people have been building where it's been... Allow me to show you what's not intuitive. That is not intuitive in any way, shape or form. It is absolutely not. Would you say that is intuitive? Because it's not, is it? Like, it jumps a massive gap there. The more intuitive way of building it doesn't work. The more intuitive way is to have a slope there like that. No, no, how does that make sense? It jumps a gap there, and here it teleports through something solid. I've seen people try and build all sorts of... That makes some sense, but again, doesn't work. It's not intuitive. You have learned it. That does not make it intuitive. I get a vast amount of people not understanding how conveyors work. And it's nearly always a vertical shaft like that, and then they've done that. That makes sense, just about. That does not make sense in any way, shape or form. But, as I said, it's a very big difference between intuitive and understandable. Once you understand how it works, that's fine. It's not the same as intuitive, though. One of the other things I would like to be different. I would like the game to support this. I am not guaranteeing you I am going to be able to. It is on the list. It is a strong hope of mine that we can do this. If I had a dedicated... So that works fine. That looks all right. You're like, hey, that's cool. That's way better. Resin looks awesome. And then we come to the problem. I'm using this system called marching cubes. Marching cubes is a very solved issue, and then you start trying to build that, and that don't quite work. It's kind of working, and kind of not. So you get this issue. I think the solution is a 2-point blend, which involves rewriting the way the shaders work, the same way it's blending the that. But I could spend 6 months on this and not actually fix it. But if I switch back, that's what I built. That's how it looks in marching cubes. But the landscape looks great. Doesn't the landscape look great? The new sun system looks good as well. I wonder if there's a hive mind on my mini map anywhere, because the hive minds look awesome in the new system. There's one. Right. So the resin, old resin. Right, let me just let the level generate for a sec here. We also bring this a bit through the day. There we go. I've not been here for, so it's still generating. So hopefully, and I said I've done a lot of the work. I've not done all of the work. That's part of the issue here. So if you see the hive mind there in smooth mode, they look way better. But hold on, it literally jumps. I don't understand. It doesn't not jump. It literally jumps. Literally, there is a half-meter gap there. And at this one, the item itself physically travels through the middle of the conveyor. I get that you understand it. I understand how it works. But I have had so much feedback about this over the years that I have to change it. It's not just one or two people, it's a huge amount of people. Once you realise that conveyors just offload to their forward direction, it becomes much simpler. I know, I get that, but that's not intuitive, that is understandable. Intuitive means you get it without it being explained. And I said I have had so many people not get that. It's just simply not something I want to carry on endlessly explaining. Just a reminder, if you are a patron, you already get access to this new rendering tech. Oh, it does look so good. It doesn't look like Minecraft. I mean, I know people go, oh, it looks like Minecraft with the blubber herba up-defined mod, or whatever the fuck it's called. I know they will, but out the box, it looks like Minecraft butt. And I've heard Fortresscraft referred to as one of the best Minecraft butts. And I'm like, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with, it's like Minecraft, but not. No one said anything. You guys did all at least have a quick look at the new rendering. Are you not that excited? Because if not, you don't have to have it. Oh yeah, you can see the overminds from the base as well. That's one of the. That's not entirely reliable. That's on the list. So you should always, as a new player, realise you're surrounded by 4 overminds very early on. My worry with the new rendering is I don't know whether or not I can get it to a shippable state by April next year, given that I am not full-time on this project. I massively appreciate you patrons, guys. If you are a patron, you are amazing and you help so much. The patrons are not making enough money to allow me to ship this game. It's making like $1,500 a month, which about covers rent, but it doesn't cover rent and food. So I cannot work full-time on Fortresscraft as much as I might like to. I am having to do other work in the meantime. Hence the 3D printer, hence more stuff towards I'm going to restart again. It's not really designed to flip into that mode and out. But hence the 3D printer, hence more stuff offering patrons. And if you are a patron and I can do something for you, let me know. And if you're not a patron, what could I do to make you become a patron? What is it you want? I quite like that you can see outside, though that needs to be addressed a bit. Hopefully the fact the player starts with a proper base should also encourage them to hook stuff up a bit more to that. Okay, CPH lacking resources needs to go. No, you get a fixed base. So I'll give you a quick tour of the base. Right now you can walk through walls because I'm nice like that. So your base is a much bigger affair than before. So currently in Fortresscraft Evolved, if you are near your CPH, it's warm. But like lots of people don't really hold on, let's go wrong here. Right, let's stop trying to multitask too much while I try and talk. If you hang around near your CPH in Fortresscraft Evolved, you will absolutely be safe. You'll get power. No, you don't get power. You get warmth, and that's fine. But it's not much of a base. So now you are sent here by a corporation. You're sent here in this dropship. This is your base. So it's not much of a base, but it is a base. I've stepped away from the crashed spaceship scenario because Subnautica stole it, and everyone keeps telling me I stole it from Subnautica, and I can't be bothered with that shit. So you get this base. Now it's not massive. It's also hold on, wait. Thank you, person who followed me. I don't know who it was. You get a base. Now, when you start off, a lot of the base was shit, and you'll be able to upgrade and turn it on. So, the mission system top right will be going. Your missions will be here. You will be responsible for coming back and checking on your missions. So many people complained about the mission system in Fortresscraft. They complained that it wasn't helpful enough. They complained it was too helpful. They complained it told them what to do. They complained it to give them too much information. So right now, that's going, I hope. And then people will come here and you'll see what's to do. This area here will become the, this is the requirements board. So I am in chapter 1, which is called establishment. To leave chapter 1, I need to fulfill these requirements. That's not hooked up yet. When you fulfill requirements, more of the base will unlock. So this is where you will upgrade your suit. I don't know why there is an ore smelter there, but there it is. Great. So this is where you'll upgrade your suit. We may have this as well. It may be anything to do it here. Don't know. Doors will open. This is where power is. So there's the power generation system for the base. It will generate power constantly, so pretty much as it did. And there's your research panel there. Ooh. Next door, we have your start crafting area. This gives you access to 5 basic manufacturing plants. You need 5 because they're slow and they're shit. And that's fine. Later on, you'll unlock the med bay, which should not be quite that glowy, and that's just the outside. That's where the smelter system is. Later on, you'll get access to the research center, and that goes in here. Yeah, so that's your base. It's not big. Later on, you'll get access to the surface scanner and the threat scanner. So a lot of what you would just sort of splat around your base randomly becomes a bit rubbish. No, it won't be upgradable. This is what you get given. You want more, you build more. This is just the start. This is about equivalent to hardcore crafting mode. You can build the basic manufacturing plants outside. These are just the free start of stuff. It does mean that you can, with a little bit of work, you can build 5 of the same thing. And that's what you get given. And the doors will open one day, and you won't be able to walk through walls one day. You can't configure what is shown. Yeah, but there are hundreds of things. Okay, let's take that for a minute. How would you suggest for a moment that could be done? How do you envisage setting? I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of things that the game will tell you about. How would you possibly configure them? It's one of those. It's very easy to say, oh, you should be able to configure it. But if I actually say to you, well, how? You'd be like, don't know really. Once you've done it, you want to disable it. Once you've done what? Sorry. You can disable all the missions if you want to. I don't recommend it's a very good idea, because the mission system tells you important things. That's why it's there. So why do you want to disable it? Why does it offend you so much? The game is like, oh, by the way, your coal extractor's offline. Fix your coal extractor. Why? There's no reason that you should ever ignore those missions, and it will tell you vital and critical things. You want to disable all energy alerts. Right, but those are 2 different messages. Why? Under what circumstances are you playing Fortresscraft to a point where you care about things like this, and not having your copper extractor working is something you can ignore? Oh yeah, I forgot I get hacky power ones. Yeah, but if you enjoy playing it, ignore the messages. No problems. You can also disable all the messages if you want to. That's fine. But I don't understand what sort of dialogue box are you envisaging of how you configure things? Like, if you want, I would say it's there. It's been in for ages. Minimal tutorial. Done. See, it's gone. But if you do that, you won't know when your veins have run out. You won't know when your CPH gets destroyed. You won't know when drill heads are stuck. You won't know when drill heads have run out. You won't know what to do next. There are hundreds of missions. But the thing is, me, personally, if I was being nagged by a system that my coal had been offline for 10 hours, do you know what I would do? I'd delete the coal system. That would be my solution to it. I don't think I've ever had a seed so bad, but okay, fine. Terrible seed is terrible. Just out of curiosity, I wonder how... See, this is the thing. This is how tunnels will look using the new rendering system. Better, worse? Yeah, I don't know. Different, yes. But really, I could do with a second programmer who full-time deals with that. But that would genuinely involve either a massive investment of some sort or the patronage jumping up about fourfold. The patronage doubled, I'd be more confident about spending more time on this. Patronage went threefold, I feel very comfortable about stuff. If it went up even higher, then I would be at the point where I could consider hiring another programmer. Copper ore. So we do know what copper ore is. I'm now 50 meters down. This is not a good place, my first copper vein. I'm so used to having it on coloured ping by default. The ironic thing is, once I've done this, I'll probably have to start another world. What I need to make sure here is at this point that the game takes me to the next state. Well, there is copper. Thankfully, I can cheat. But yeah, for instance, so the new system, the new mission system, will tell you the old things in a minute. So one of those is about testing the grappling hook. So if I take away the mission system, how am I supposed to explain to the player about the grappling hook? I'll be honest, I don't know the answer. But those sort of questions are worrying because I'm trying to overcome the complaint of I'm hand-holding too much, oh, the missions irritate me, with I have no idea what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. There we go. So we're now up to explore the surface. Now this one I cannot achieve. So let me just close it there. But that worked. That has kicked across to the next chapter. Well, you say that, Wem. The only feedback I've had today has been from the gamer Dude Abides, who was complaining that he gets messages he doesn't want. Was that you? No, dude, you're allowed to complain. That's fine. It's not a bad thing. Why? Okay, no, there is no way to turn off. Come on, what? No, you cannot turn off Spiderbot because there is very little chance you'll complete the game without him. It's not for fun. He's critical. Why would you turn him off? Okay, then if you stick a Spiderbot base down and don't power it, and he'll run out of power and he'll go and sit there. So I think the next step is actually more interesting. Yeah, but as I said, don't count the legs. If you put down a Spiderbot base and ignore it, it should work just fine. So just put down a Spiderbot base and don't power it. No, it's there, but you can just build a Spiderbot base somewhere where you can't see it. You can't get rid of it, because unfortunately he is important. Chapter 3, Exploration. Yes. So this is the point where I have to stop the player running off all willy-nilly. I have maybe generated the surface, and I have maybe not generated the surface. So at this point, we should actually be able to hook up the codes. I've got it written. At this point, I need to see how well the player has... the base is paged in. How well the generation is done. The player is essentially going to place beacons down to map the area, which mostly means, hey, run around on the surface and map some stuff. Again, if you don't want to, You don't have to. After the 1 km area is 100% gen. We can just proceed. So I'm hoping to get the base rendering working, but that will be turned offline until such point as you progress to there. Ooh, how did that actually work? You know what? I can't actually tell. No, it hasn't seemed to have worked. Some of it's worked. Yay! I mean, boo, but yay, all at the same time. Because that's the test one. I swear, everyone who does Fortresscraft has had a 3D printer forever apart from me. We now have a 3D printing channel because so many people apparently have got them. I did it while I was busy things. Well, that doesn't look right, does it? There we go. You can see it loading in. That's loading the map though, not paging it. At some point, again, I'd like to have another program because I'd like to fix the shader on this because it's bloody awful. Why is it so dark compared to that one? I mean, that looks great, and that really doesn't. Right, so the glow should be 2. That's still not our map, is it, though? Or 1, maybe. Once it's paged, it's okay. This is the point. It won't show this map yet. So what I'll be doing is I'll be changing it so it's not hammering in the paging at all. And the player has to do some sort of beacons around it. So what it's doing at this point is it's... Now, all the beacons are, Schalke, is for me to tie the player up with a busy task while I generate the world. So what you're seeing now is it pulling everything off disk. But think of it the other way, Schalke. I will force you to place beacons and I will tell you to. That's fine. Quite importantly, on top of that, you have to travel to those locations to place it. That's kind of worked. But I still don't think that's right, is it? Like, if I walk out the door, it should drop the displacement. Right. No? You're not going to drop the displacement? Why are you not dropping the displacement? Alright, when I walk back in it will. Diddly bump, diddly bump. Actually, does that, can you actually see that? Does it actually look cool? Might do. Oh, that's... There does seem to be some weirdness, but that might just be the level gen itself. No, that's definitely going to be a bug. Okay. But it looks like the colour map's right, but it looks like the height map isn't. Is this another world? It's fully paged now. But I'd expect to see... Oh, I guess we aren't... So overhangs don't really work on the map. That's part of the issue, definitely. I can't even tell where that is. It looks to me like there might be some sort of weird accuracy issue in the height map. Like that height map just looks to be 0, 1, 2. Those could be hive minds, those red blotches. Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll make something quote unquote visible from space. Now the easiest way to do this by far is to use the canvas, because I know for a fact that they show up. What we'll do is we'll make a big... Yeah, I think this might be a bit of a weird gen, because the world map will never be able to do overhangs. It just can't do them. I can't remember how thick it also needs it to be as well. I also can't remember what like how the map rescans. We'll work it out. We always do. Or I apologise, like with the robots. I tried so hard to get the robots to be really good, and I just couldn't. And it saddens me because it was such a good idea. Might just be easy to restart. Right, so that should hopefully be a just about visible arrow on the map. Right, so if I just flip a tab inspector, that's the map. Yeah, there's the little arrow. I don't know what these red blotches are. That might be underground. Oh, that's resin. There we go. Yeah. So those right now. See, this is why we're having this map. So there's your base. There's the walkway, and in this case, it's in the middle of a freaking mountain. That's fine. The height map is utterly buggered. We'll come back to why. There's my little arrow. Now, for some reason, the colours have got knackered. I don't know why. Come to that as well. That is a hive. Those are the 4 hive minds, and the red blotches are the resin. So that makes sense. So I have a number of issues, including why am I missing most of the red channel? Why is the ore off? It is showing the whole map though. What probably needs to happen is as I scan through each one, I probably need to scan for importance. So quite often those resin tunnels are actually resin caves. But either way, I'm fairly sure there's something wrong with my height map, isn't there? And did I fiddle with the displacement? That doesn't make it more accurate. It might make it less stupid, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case. So that looks better with the displacement at 0.25, which is what it was at. What did I just change? I've just changed that Giger and hardened resin should be bright red. It's as if my red has... So I haven't even shown you guys the long distance rendering yet. There are a few substantial graphic boosts the game is planned to have. But they're all based on this same tech. That looks much more like it. I'm glad I had that note, because I forgot I did that. Much better, though it does indicate to a degree how rubbish my level gen is. And then next to it, let's put some resin. Let's make sure that is what I think it is. I say I'm probably going to have to put a no scripted events mode into Fortresscraft because there is going to be a whole bunch of stuff that stops you, for instance, stops you using solar. There's a whole part of the game where you won't get to use solar and you have to rely on geothermals and stuff. So I suspect I need I guess we can call it a sandbox mode for people who don't want to be... You don't want to experience the ebb and the flow of the story. And that's annoying, because that means I'll have to support people who want to play the story than people who don't. But I guess if I just call it sandbox mode, I'll just not lock anything away. There we go. So probably again in Fortresscraft Phoenix, the hive minds won't start until chapter 3. What I'll probably do though is, what time is it? 3:30. I'm not sure I'm going to add the beacon scanner in now. See, what I'd like to do for the beacon scanner, I'd like basically for a little cupboard to open up and you get 4 beacons and you have to go place them there, and there in the little hollow base. So once this hollow base is working, the next step is to start to inject things into it. So I'll give it a bash. I'll roughly do what I want. She's making me feel bad. Stop making me feel bad. I have work to do. This is how I pay for all your food, you tubby gutted little fuck. I mean, no, that's literally the truth. Ah, there it is. Oh, wait, where's it? So I'm hazarding a guess. It should be about here. I'm not sure about the scale. That feels about right. And it did. Yay. Right. Now, do I have a... I totally do. But we probably want a red one. See, red looks probably more sensible, because of course it's danger, but it doesn't really have quite the right sort of feel. Oh, that looks a bit better. I'll tell you, let me just duplicate that over here. I'm going to have to guess the position, and let me put the old blue one back on. I like the blue, but the blue doesn't feel like very dangery, but the red one doesn't really show up very well. Oh, that does look cool. They both look cool. I'll tell you what I'll do. Shall I do hive minds in red and overminds in cyan? That does look awesome. I'm dead happy with that. Sometimes, you see, I like to have a day where things go well, and at the end of it I can go, hey look, here's the cool things we did. The irony is, I think the game does need a map. I think, again, this is one of those things that experienced players have no issues, but new players I think struggle a lot with just realizing how big the world is. The plan long term is to have the hollow map disappear and be this instead. It may even be that you need to come back to here. I haven't really decided yet. I'm hoping that what will also happen is you'll be able to press a button and the hollow map will whoosh up in the air and show you the underground part. Suck. Now I'm going to have to mark the hollow mind off. That one looks right. It doesn't need to be exact, but these two are definitely off. I will have to eventually position them according to where they're actually positioned, because overminds are not always in the same position. True, but drop pods aren't remaining in the game, so whilst I agree with you, drop pods aren't remaining in the game. The purchase goods should arrive from Homeworld, but they'll arrive on the drop ship. You know, this is where I wish that I was a bigger company or I had more time, because it'd be quite good to get... this will be like a 10-hour stream of something, but it'd be quite good to have like a highlights reel. Like, you don't need to watch the whole stream, you really don't, but it'd be quite nice to just watch back the bits that were interesting. But like, it would take, you know, at least 10 hours of work to do a highlight for each stream. And it probably wouldn't be worth the money. But this thing about larger companies, they do tend to just splurge money. Why are you not down there? So what do we reckon? Ignore how bright they are. Red for danger? Because the plan is, and I had this plan anyway, but then I saw Mad Vandal's mod and I'm like, the plan was right. The plan is you'll see the bugs flying across the landscape. So when you get attacked, you'll get to see it. And this will be the cryo stuff. That's so cool. But, as ever, this wasn't my plan. But shall we, and you can feel free to go, no, do this. Shall we carry on with this map for now? This is a key component of the game, is the map, and it will be important that this map can show me stuff I care about, hive minds, beacons, etc. I think eventually what I'll say, Schalker, is that the player must achieve at least 10% coverage of the surface via beacons, and then what will happen is a beacon will actually search for a hive mind. And so if you want complete coverage of the area, you have to cover it with beacons. And a beacon would just be every, I don't know, however big, you know, 100 meters or something. It does update if you terraform the terrain, yes. It's pretty much real time as well. It's not so much networked, yeah, obviously, but it's pretty good. Overlords spawn mostly in the same position. Close enough so it doesn't matter on that map. Anyway, I will make a SE2. Yeah, do this for all entities until I can think of a reason not to. That seems fine. Yes, to master, just press F5. They work, but they work as they work. If you don't like how they work, that's how they're going to work. That's just currently just how it is. So it ain't perfect. It might never be perfect. So don't bother feeding back whether it works, doesn't work. I don't even know if I will be able to improve it. It might simply be too much time. Even if I could buy marching cubes as a working product, I have zero faith that anybody else out there could write it more efficiently than me. The issue is not the marching cubes. Marching cubes is a very popular, widely documented, mathematically correct, and completely off the shelf system. Texturing marching cubes, on the other hand, is fucking black magic. No one's written about it. Nothing. I can find literally nothing. I suspect I might need to create my own lookup tables. I might need to crossfade between textures. I can find nothing. I mean, play with it, and you'll notice quite quickly the issue, because when you put a block down, the block bleeds into the world. But then you realize if you build like a column, it doesn't look like a column. So there are issues. I can do variable density stuff, but my main concern is that it's going to be a lot of time. And it might be time better spent elsewhere. I hope that Fortresscraft 2 does very well. And if so, I would absolutely be happy to hire a coder full-time. I've always said this. I don't work on this full-time by myself out of some sort of Spartan desire to hate myself. I hate myself for other reasons. It's because I can't afford to hire a programmer. It's because if I hire a programmer, even a minimum I would get away with is £25,000 a year. That means that if Fortresscraft makes £35,000 in a year, I can keep the guy on and I can't live off the rest of the money. So it's fundamentally a down to not having enough money. I have yet to see anyone who uses marching cubes with non-organic textures. I think I have come up with the solution. At the very best, I'm guessing it's going to be a month of hard work. That's a month I probably don't have. So who knows? We'll find out together. Sorry to be so negative. I'm not negative. I'm just realistic, unfortunately. No, I mean, other people may have solved it, but my problem is that I could. So if you Google marching cubes, you can find the algorithm straight off the bat. The algorithm is widely available. It was invented in the early 80s or something. It's right up there with voxels or Perlin. It's just a technique people use, but they very rarely use it for games. That's something that's only been done 50 times maybe, whereas marching cubes has been used millions of times. Again, though, realistically, there is no way that I will be able to work on a engine and sell it. You don't just go click and sell it. You have to support it. With a lot of these people I buy asset packs off, I can't believe they're making any money. They're just losing money. At the moment I start asking them questions, they're just losing money. And that makes me sad as well. Realistically, unless Fortresscraft does surprisingly well, it's going to be primarily patrons. And as I said, patrons it's not making enough money for to support me. It's making enough money so I can probably just to get away with it if I had the sales onto it. Hive mind hollow, and we'll make these in the blue color. I like the blue color. Well, I did ask this earlier. I didn't get any responses. If you are a patron, is there anything I'm not doing I should be? And if you are if you're not a patron, is there anything I could do to make you become a patron? Oh, look at that! That's gonna be so cool. I don't think it's gonna work, but let's find out. No, none. Oh, that's not how you spell hive mind. Hive. Oh, there's one. You know what? I don't think it's in the right place. Wait, why is it there? Don't get right. People say some stupid ass things, but that's a particularly weird one. Like in a game where you decide how bright or dark it is to say it's too dark. And the thing is, it looks bad. Again, that's the kind of the... Okay. The Avengers is a shit film. You know, it's about as useful a critique as that. Unfortunately. Looks very good. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Satisfactory looks excellent. And it's not a bar I could ever hit. And that has definitely hurt Fortresscraft, because Fortresscraft will never look as good as Satisfactory. And then I watch a few videos. I mean, I played Satisfactory and I just got bored. I felt it was very shallow. Very pretty. And then I watched some videos of people trying to push it hard, and you can't. It's too pretty. There's too many graphics. So you can't have an efficient game. Fortresscraft still, as far as I know, is the best of the logistics games in performance-wise. So it can shove around about 1.5 million entities. Everything else I'm aware of is much less. Factorio gives up at about 65,000 entities. Satisfactory, not even that. And right now, this game, right, where's the number? 21,000 entities right now. So we're running at 1/3 of Factorio's peak just to run the world. Where are you? I will probably need to move them up. I was half expecting to. Yeah, actually, well, when someone says, "Oh, I'm not playing because it looks shit," and then they already play shit-looking games, that's just when they're just sort of making, you know, they've already made their mind up. There's not much you can do about people like that. Me personally, I like new games. I downloaded a game the other day just because it looked like a Terraria clone. I forgot to set the position, and I like Terraria, and it looks exactly like a Terraria clone, only with more tower defense. And I'm like, this is exactly what I want. I want other games like the ones I liked. If I like Factorio or Satisfactory, I would look for other games like it. One of them will be the cryo map. One of them is the surface map. Oh, right. I don't know. Honestly, I was looking at the docs, and it's probable that at this point here, and this is probably the cut-off point for version 1.0's release. Yeah. So I'm probably going to release the game, which will more or less cover roughly what Fortresscraft covered in vanilla, give or take. Then you've got the Frozen Factory, then you've got the Railgun, then you've got the Resin Apocalypse. At this point, about here, this is the point where it gets very vague and very, 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 very huge. Yeah, at this point, everything is pure conjecture and is entirely based on patron donations and game sales. So yeah, I don't know. So one of the things I really like in games I play, and it's something Fortresscraft does not necessarily do as well as it could. There's one. Is I like to play games where I can be in a world with my mates. I would say Terraria is very good at this. Minecraft is generally very good at this. And Fortresscraft is pretty good at it. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And that's kind of one of my goals, is to make sure that you can spend time playing the game in a world with your mates. And this is why I encourage people to build, you know, proper bases and things in Fortresscraft. The problem is, Tomas, is that most people never saw most of the machines in Fortresscraft. And that's something I have learned the hard way, is that a large percentage of players genuinely have not played or seen most of the game. That's a shame, but that's why I'm not so fussed about extending the end of the game as so much as making the experience from spawn to OET charge really good. So why have I got the underground audio? I should have room audio. Tomas, make me one. You go away and do that, make it perfect, and I'll see you in about 3 years when you're done and I'll put it in the game. Oh no, the museum function's definitely implemented. I use it for events. I mean, you just, the bars, you know, ores spawn, but the ores never deplete, so it runs forever. But I mean, the other thing is, Tomas, part of the game is working out how to play it. You can decide to play the game differently, of course. But when you start playing Fortresscraft multiplayer with people, you realise that everybody apart from you does it wrong. Yeah, I mean, the museum mode exists. God, I can't remember if it's a compile flag though. Oh no, it's a compile flag, but it exists. There's a bunch of code for it. There. So drills don't use up ore. Players can't die. You're not allowed to build or delete anything. I can't remember what I did with the rest of the ore. Unlimited solar energy. I don't remember what I did with it. I think I may have just macerated the bars in my demo world. But yeah, there was never any call for it. But I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to make a museum flag. Just no one's ever asked for it. But I mean, realistically, all you need to do is in your demo world fill everything up. But I mean, you do want everything moving. Essentially, you're making a perpetual motion machine because you need to macerate or destroy or black hole everything at the end of it. Otherwise, your mass storage would just fill up. Mostly, I designed mine to run for about 12 hours, and I just hid away a massive storage in the ground. I mean, that's certainly something to make a note of, Zebra. Like, sure, we can do it. I mean, the reason we've never bothered to ship a tutorial, but it's just too much work. I don't know how well this comes across on stream, but the new rendering system for the ground does really look better. Really does look better. So I'm very glad that that's been implemented. It's not done. Todd has a lot of texture work to do, and I've got some tech work to do. But yeah, we've got some good tech plans for the textures in Fortresscraft. Yeah, at some point, Zebra, a lot of these things should be tagged better. But again, that's a whole chunk of work. Again, it's one of those things that if I had a junior, that'd be their task. Rework the tag system. I am still hoping as well to get intelligent room detection, and when a room becomes a room, like the walls will disappear and like spawn with high-res walls. Again, a lot that's dependent on, a lot of Andy's time, but we'll see. We didn't make much of a deal of the fact you can have different textures on different sides. So I've done a lot of optimizing of Fortresscraft 2. And that can sometimes lead to an old system now gets strangled. I think that's probably fluid. I know I've had problems with the fluid prior to this. You know, right now it thinks I'm inside the building, which is why it goes dark. I hope I can make it look like that. It does look so cool. Oh. Error cannot have machines as walls. That's a very confusing message. I don't know why this is taking. I don't know what that is. I can't remember. Is it the node worker? If you notice on the left, there are nothing's jammed up. Everything is incredibly quick. All apart from it's not doing anything. Like now, I have 8 threads that generate the world data. It used to be 1 thread. Now I have multiple threads doing that. So it might just be that I'm caning my PC a bit hard. Okay, I'll put this into short-term issues. Check why
MB machines are taking 5 to 15 seconds to complete. Obviously that's a bug. That's a bug I've introduced, but I said, but look at it. Instance is fine, segment's fine, visit's fine, injection's fine. None of those systems are soaking up loads of times. I think the gen queue might have died though. It looks like I got a pending. I'd need to look at it. I can't quite remember how that works. But previously, the segment generation was entirely single-threaded, so it was slow. Now it's properly multi-threaded, so that's why I can do that. And you can see how quickly it can regenerate the world. Previously, Fortresscraft had a maximum speed of about 70 miles an hour. And if you went about 70 miles an hour, you'd outrun the world. The base is a hack right now. Again, the reason I have kept the amount of people playing Fortresscraft 2 to minimal is so I don't get this, because I don't want to have to worry about it yet. And I have to say, I really am liking the new rendering. Don't place it on the armoured stuff. Don't place it there. That will come, but currently it is not allowed. That's the code that got rid of this, you know, it carved out our original base. So that's where I've detected hive minds. Sire, in the best way in the world, sure, but are you a professional game developer by trade? Because if not, probably not. I'm sure you're a lovely bloke or lady, no doubt, but I have no bandwidth to take on a junior programmer, and I have no money to take on a senior programmer. So, not really. If you want to do 3D modelling, it could possibly be arranged. Andy, my 3D modeler, has so much to do. So much. Realistically, Si, I mean, I'll be very honest with you. I can't pay you. That's the realistic issue of why I had to stop Fortresscraft Evolved. And if you're volunteering, and I appreciate that greatly, Zebra can probably describe this better than me in a fair way. Zebra, you have been volunteering and helping on Fortresscraft for a long time now. How many volunteers have you seen come, do either nothing or do one thing and disappear, and then, well, disappear? Like, in your opinion? Because I can pick a number. My problem is I find it very hard to rely on volunteers because they generally not necessarily get bored, that seems mean, but quite often they find something else to do. They get a girlfriend, they get married, they go and travel the world. And it's impossible to rely on people, and when you're not paying them, you don't have the things. But roughly, I mean, Zebra, I mean, how many wikis are there? There's someone who go, nope, the current wiki's shit, I'm doing my own wiki. And they get 10 pages in and go, yeah. How many people have started texture packs and then gone, nah. Lots. Yeah, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. Which is why I have had a few people who have stuck with Fortresscraft for a very long time, but it is only a few people. And even they sometimes disappear for a year or 2 years at a time. So relying on volunteer work is a very difficult proposition. Much as I would love to just get it, but it's tricky. And certainly with artist stuff, obviously you need to stick in the same style as Fortresscraft, and then you might have to. I found a lot of people, they suddenly get a trial by fire when they realise what is involved in getting something, not from a, hey, this looks cool, but to a game asset, where I'm like, that looks cool, what's the poly count? I'm like, yeah, 1/100th of what you've just done there. As I said, I would love to have you and 100 other people help. I absolutely would. I'm just very wary about relying on volunteers. If you want to, hey man, let's talk. Let's do stuff. I'm sure Andy would be very happy to have a weight off, because we've got years of work. I mean, to a degree. What do you want to do? I mean, I can give you access to the source code, but realistically, unless you have been doing professional game development for quite some years, you can look a lot of it going, "The hell's going on here?" It's quite a evolved code base. But if you're like sorry, as a player of the game and as a technical artist, can you look at anything in the game and go, "That shit, I can do way better"? Don't feel you have to be nice. No one else is. I'm still getting sounds like that was what I built the room for. Let me go into that room and see if the audio changes. But preferably something standalone. So don't say a conveyor, because then you can't just do a conveyor because you need to do all of the conveyors. I think I'm getting the deep cave ambience. Fix the ambience. There's just something else going wrong. No, but I mean, from your point of view, as a technical artist, what is there in the game that you could take and improve and give back to me as a kind of, this is the shit I can do? Like, you tell me. But something you can definitely come back with. Look, here you go. Bang, this is better. I had one guy, and he did a very nice plane. I'm like, cool. Now I need another 40 planes. He goes, oh, I thought you could just do one. I'm like, you thought I could ship an airplane game with one plane in it? Doesn't matter, sorry. That can be overcome. In your mind, which of the machines looks the shittest, and you could definitely make it look way better. Worry about technical constraints later on. That's because I would actually consider that one of the better ones. So you mean the top piece of the teleporter, I assume? Remember, the teleporter itself is obviously a number of different objects with different... and you got the charging and things. See, there's restrictions with the teleporter. So this is... I don't know if you've actually done anything for actually games, but this is where you got restrictions. So, for example, this has to be a 1 meter high object with a very small amount of bit that sticks into the square above because of the way it works. You can't have side panels, you can't have everything over the top because the player can walk through it. You can't break existing setups that have got the teleporter in, so that can't change. But, sure. I mean, I will happily chuck you that mesh. But remember how the teleporter works, though. I mean, I'll build one in the game. Use the advanced teleporter. There we go. Yeah, so that's how it actually looks in game. And obviously there is a side to it, but you don't generally see it. But because of the nature of it, you do have to... You can come a little bit higher, but you couldn't come up past, 45 centimeters or something. But it is actually 3D. It's... But yeah, if you want to have a go at that one, go for it. Absolutely 100% welcome. I never say no to anyone. What happens a lot with the... because we actually support a complete texture replacement. No one's ever done one because they do a few textures and then they go, it's really hard to do textures in Fortresscraft format because we have a specular and occlusion and blah 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 map, and then there's hundreds of textures. They kind of just think there's a few, and then it takes a long time to get through them all. So don't forget, Si. I have no idea how old you are or your level of professionalism, so forgive me if I'm talking down to you. I don't know if you know what PBR actually means, but what it actually means is instead of having one slider for specular power and one slider for specular intensity, you talk about things like roughness and smoothness and shininess, and pretty much they just renamed the frickin' sliders. I don't know what UDIM is though. I say PBR is it's a fancy buzzword term that mostly means more user friendly sliders. But my point is, it's not. It fundamentally boils down to the same underlying characteristics. A quick search on PBR, like. Go and look at the definitions and you'll just find people arguing back and forwards. But it mostly boils down to, a metallic slider that goes between rough and smooth. And that more or less boils down to altering your specular power and your specular size. It's a fancy new buzz term. People love saying PBR, hard surface modeling and all these sort of things. But it's not really anything fundamentally new. I mean, Fortresscraft's mostly PBR because we use Unity's PBR shader. It's only the shaders I write that aren't, because it doesn't help. But if you want to help and you want to make stuff look better, I'm definitely, yes, it's definitely absolutely helped me. It's just that until I've worked with you for a year or whatever, I cannot rely on you. Well, good. Let's say the problem is with a lot of it, people are used to modding Minecraft and you just do a quick diffuse texture. Fortresscraft supports the full Unity PBR shader. Which I must have something that's got it on here somewhere. That no. 2 secs. Yeah, so we support albedo, metallic, smoothness, normal height, occlusion, detail, and glow. And then when people realise they might be doing 8 maps per texture, they rapidly lose interest. Yeah, well, that's professionals for you. And so you just find that a lot of the people in the modding community genuinely don't understand how much work is involved in writing games. It's enormous. I mean, someone was complaining about the icons in the game, and I'm like, that's fine, you know. I agree, I don't like them all. And I put this like, why don't you redo them? And I pointed out we have 1,900 icons in the game, and if Todd can redo those at 1 a day, that's still going to take a long time. Oh man, this is going to be so cool. I'm waiting for these. As far as I know, each of those has got a hive mind in them. But yes, if you wanna do stuff, I'm absolutely happy to accept your stuff. If the game takes off, I would be very happy to hire more people. I really would. If I could have a team of 12 people working on this, we'd have an amazing game. But I ain't got the money. Wish I did. Just want to make sure that these are definitely page loaded in. One there, one there. The reason I keep walking out there is by running out there, I force that bit to load with priority. It can take quite a long time to load the whole map in. A busy world, a very busy world, could be anything 30-40 minutes to load the whole world in. This one should take 5 or 10 minutes, but I can't bother to spend 5 or 10 minutes waiting every time we boot up. I have to say, I have worked with people who've been in the film industry before, and you often get a very rude awakening with the limits of what you can actually do. Having worked usually audio, but people sort of going, I can't write a game, you know, I can't do audio with that, and I'm like, well, that's your requirements. So the PS2, for example, your limit was 74 seconds of audio. That was all you had for your whole game. 74 seconds. That's as much memory as the PS2 had. And I was just frankly told by someone, that's not possible. I'm like, well, we've already shipped half a dozen games. I assure you it is. It's like, but that's 2 megabytes. That's only one thing. I've not wrote not anything from your show reel. Nothing released. The thing is, even if you said, oh, I've wrote to the Avengers or whatever, I've dealt with enough film people. And after a while, because a friend of mine, he did the sound effects for Harry Potter. How cool does that sound? And he's like, yeah. And I said, what did you do exactly? I'm like, did you do the spells? No. The wands? No. Monsters? He goes, I mostly did footsteps and doors. So even if you're on the coolest of the cool films, it's not necessarily very glamorous. The Hodor graphics are entirely modular. Because you can... Do you remember the modular spaceships you could build in Fortresscraft, Zebra? Did you never play with that? Because we've got modular spaceships that you can build, and they act like Kerbal stuff. Dude, you actually have the source code. You can actually just open it and look at the mesh. I actually think the fins are separate objects. Though. Yay! There we go. Yeah, but Hodor are literally implemented. It works. It's just I never finished it. It never made it into a final feature, but like, you can just play with them. I will have a very quick check for you, by the way, Zebra. Oh, what's Hodor called? G-Rocket? Oh, Slowders, that's it. They are separate pieces. I mean, good luck doing it. Oh no, you might be lucky. They fold around the middle, you see. We'll have to calculate a pivot point. What's that? Oh, fuel compressor. Oh yeah. That was a cool model. So many cool models. Oh. Okay, so in the time I've been gone, it's only managed to page in 2. I will have the beacons. So what will happen when you boot up, the beacons will come online, and then you'll be able to see them on the map. There's so many cool things I can do with this map. What happens, you see, is the game knows where the overminds are, but not, and the sea pits, but not much else. So what happens is, as the game boots up, it's the nukers page the level in. Because a lot of people are going, I want to get rid of the tunnel nukers and stuff. I'm like, they're not just there for show. I use them essentially to terraform, and quite importantly, to load. Because I don't know what the world looks like. I've no idea until I've loaded it off disk or generated it. There are only about... I'm trying to think what's constant in the world. The CPH location is constant. The hive mind location is kind of constant, but also not. But wait, do you not know who Amy Jo Johnson is? She's quite famous. There we go. That's cool. Oh, that's really cool. It's the wrong colour, but it's cool. I will need to clamp them off the edge because otherwise it will just start to draw them in the air. But apart from the weird rendering, I'm not sure about that. That seems pretty good. They're not supposed to... I don't even know why they are. You should be aware, this wasn't the plan. I had a completely different plan for the day. And I started on my plan, and the plan... Dora, stop being bad. The plan started okay, and I did the thing I had planned, and then it rapidly devolved into, I wonder if I can do the map thing. So the goal of Fortresscraft Phoenix, as I said, is to make sure that the majority of players have a good experience. In Fortresscraft, I think the majority of players do have a good experience, but you need to play the game for a lot in order to achieve that. So I would like to ensure that the first 1 to 2 hours, the first hour is as perfect as I can make it, and hours 2 to 8 are pretty damn good. Oh man, that looks good. See, that looks great. I like how Fortresscraft looks. Not always, but sometimes it looks good. I'd love to work from home. It'd be great. I could get so much done. Yeah. Thanks, Dora. This map is already in the game, Hayek. Not as this cool, obviously. But yeah, this map's already in the game. But yeah, Hayek, it's not. It won't have the markings, but it does have the all the same stuff on it. Cool. Yeah, if you have access to Frozen Factory, just build the cryo map and build it on the surface, and it turns into a surface map. Will the game have updates? Wait. So Hayek, Fortresscraft Evolved will not get any more updates. It is a complete and final game. It's done. Updates on Fortresscraft Evolved finished about 18 months ago, 14 months ago. I did one what I would call housekeeping patch for Christmas, but it's done. As for Fortresscraft 2, I don't know. Like, when you say more enemies, like, there's a lot of enemies in Fortresscraft. Not sure how many more enemies I could fit in Fortresscraft before everything just started to melt. Like your PC. I don't want to make it difficult for the player to get around. I will explain. One of the pillars of the game, one of the fundamental underwriting design elements of the game is to ensure that everybody can play it. Okay? It's very important to me that everyone can play the game. It doesn't matter if you are deaf, doesn't matter if you're colorblind, doesn't matter if you have only one arm, does not worry. It does not matter if you have any physical disability. You should be able to play the game. To that end, there is no dexterity requirement for Fortresscraft at all. Absolutely none. And that's very important to me. So the reason for this is I had a guy, he was an Afghan vet, and he'd lost one of his arms, and he wrote to me just saying how relaxing and lovely he found Fortresscraft because he could take it at his own pace. Too many games require you to be fast, to have good dexterity. I broke my arm a couple of years and I only had one working arm, and then I realised, I'm like, there are so few games you can play with one arm. So if I were to make it so the player himself was having to deal with one-on-one combat a lot more, I would be allowing a lot less people to play the game, because those people would not have the physical dexterity to play the game, and I would definitely prefer not to have that as the case for the game, personally. So there might be more enemies. They will attack the base, but they won't attack you. The goal has never been combat about the player. The player going, it's all right. It's not brilliant. It's good for minimal amounts of work. Now, all that said, I will be setting it up so that you will need to worry about defending your base a lot more. Easy example is right now, the slimes are attracted to ore extractors, but they don't do anything when they get there. They will. One of the things they will do is they will jam it up. So you will need to build defenses, and you will need to dig them up. So that's already planned. There will be no concept of unattended bases. All your bases will need defenses. But it won't be very much about you shooting it. It will be about your base shooting it. A mod which allows you teleporting around where you watch. Because I'm not sure that got to do anything. As a reminder, this build, once I'm done streaming, I will upload this build for patrons. They will get immediate access to the build. However good or bad that build is, they will get access to it. If you want to become a patron, then you are very welcome. Patrons are genuinely the reason I'm able to continue to work on this game. So thank you so much if you are a patron. And you're awesome. So please check out the patron page, just patreon.com/Fortresscraft. Is there anything else I needed to get done today? I will try as we start to move, because we now have 14 months till Fortresscraft comes out, so there's a little bit more to work on it off and on. What I'll do is it won't be correct, but I'd rather the players get to play through. So in the chapter manager, map cache completed equals false break, otherwise build a room. There's any word of Fortresscraft Phoenix, yeah. I won't be doing Linux. It's just way too much effort for such a small amount of people. I will probably do very occasional ones. Okay, explore the surface, build a room. So, if you build a room and you cache the map, you should then get on iron and lithium. At that point, this is the point where I need new text. At this point, Subcity. I mean, Subcity's currently. I'm actually running a Subcity server. I should probably stop wasting CPU cycles on it. So Subcity is on hold, but only because I've now got to the point where Andy needs to do so much work. Eventually, we will want servers at Subcity, but the idea will be that people will run their own servers, and because obviously we it'll be Steam based, we should hopefully more easily get more people playing the game. I hope. So hopefully now you should be able to get to chapter 5. Chapters should not now be completable until chapter 5. There's no saving, so you'll need to start at the beginning on each load. I think that's everything I did. So chapter 5 is where you get access to the first set of research. At that point, I will probably have to do more work. Yes. So the company have paid for your setup. You will need to pay them back. So at this point, essentially, it's the same as Fortresscraft. In Fortresscraft, at this point, you had to make your research lab. It's probably worth reading some of the pinned documents. If none of you haven't, because they're quite interesting. But yeah, at chapter 5, essentially, it's the same research system as we've currently got. But instead of making research pods and then giving it tons of power, you do it a different way. Now, I don't know quite how. Initially, my first thought, and I don't know whether or not it's ideal, is every 60 minutes a drop pod lands and you can get research at that point. Then you can build the Hodor, and then you can get research whenever you want. Later on, you get the teleporter when you eventually lose access to the surface. Most of what I've done so far has been existing machines reworked, and I'm not sure what I can do there. I have missed it. The entire stream is there for you to watch. That's cool. I'm glad I like making progress that I can show in screenshots. People go, ooh. April next year, the 10th anniversary of Fortresscraft shipping. That's better. This build will be up for patrons before soon. I'm not sure it's changed very much. That's pretty much what we've already got. But honestly, like, take it through the final, but I'd skip animations. Animations are a nightmare, and performance is huge. Yeah, huge things. Let's see if I could get a little GIF of that, because that's I really am happy with that. Right, I'm going to end the stream here, and I am going to make a build. So, thank you all so much for watching. I will try and stream more. I will try and continue Fortresscraft one day a week. Remember, if you're not a patron, please become a patron. You will get access to all the bullshit, broken words. I will link you a picture of my thing when it's done, my build, and I will put that in the chat. And I will stop the stream now. Remember, you're awesome. See you all next week. I'll see you over the weekend, I'm sure. I'm always on Discord. Please become a patron. And bye for now.